If you're starting to feel stressed out or really close to burnout in your entrepreneurial journey, this video is exactly what you need. I've been doing this since about 2012, 12 plus years of owning my own business, and I've seen all the stress points you're probably encountering now, and I've developed a simple process that helps me and all of the people I coach really figure out how to avoid stress, how to avoid burnout, and thus keeping us at full productivity. I just did a training showing exactly what I do in breaking down step by step in a simple manner how you can figure out A, what's causing your stress, but more importantly, B, how to avoid it, how to take back ownership of your life and your business, and how to get out there and continue to be your fully most productive self. So without further ado, give me about 10-15 minutes here and I'm going to show you exactly how you can avoid burnout as an entrepreneur this year. Let's get shit done. All right, guys, we got a good one today. We are going to talk specifically about something that I think is a really, really important thing, and that's going to be burnout. Okay, so a lot of people get started in this and they go through, actually, I'm reading a little mini book that describes this quite well. You Get by Seth Godin is what it is. And that's where most people quit. He talks about it extensively inside this book, but it's right when things start getting hard. It's you start your business, started your agency, you were sold on all these promises, you were ready to go. And the reality of entrepreneurship is often that when you're stuck watching the highlight reel all the time, you end up not being as successful as that. You end up burning out. And burnout, I think, is a term that's a little overused. I think that a lot of times burnout could just be referred to as you're stressed out and you're pissed off and things aren't going your way. You call it burnout, you throw your hands in the air and you give up. And it's when you quit is usually the difference between people who fail and people who succeed. So today I want to talk a little bit about how to avoid dreaded burnout so that you can get past that first dip and get to all the success that comes after that. Because what happens is if you give into the burnout, if you don't quit, you do end up procrastinating. You end up leaning out of what we call in the GSD, the uncomfortable shit. And the uncomfortable shit is what will actually make you money. The uncomfortable thing is going out there and posting content to the world, going out there and sending cold DMs, cold emails, going out there and calling the damn leads, having conversations. All of those things are a million times harder to do when your energy levels are down, when you're stressed the hell out, when you just don't want to do the thing that day because you're losing motivation. So today, now that we're all being honest with one another, now that we're all admitting that and being real with each other, we can take a look at how to avoid that. Okay, so I want to start with, so the first thing here that I find is causing most people, so we'll say cause of burnout here, okay, is almost always one or two things. Disorganization of time, and it's also working with people you hate. So I'm going to start with that first one, okay? This one right here. One of the number one things I tell to every single student I talk to inside the GSD is when you're picking a niche, there's four things. Results, can they pay high ticket? Can you get them consistent results? Can they pay you high ticket? Can you find them in abundance online? And four, which is by far weighted the most important one, do I even like these people? Do I like these people in the first place? Because if you do not like these people, if you wake up tomorrow and your whole day is filled with sales calls, client calls, and pissed off emails, because the bigger you grow, the more of that is going to come to you. If your whole day is filled with that, you're going to turn into a jobber, a 9-to-5er. You're not going to be a business owner. You're going to be thinking, I can't wait for these calls to be done so that my day is over and I can go Netflix and chill, or I can go eat my supper, or I can do whatever it is I'm going to do. And if you continue to do that, when you go to build, one, you're not going to because you've got the motivation to go do it. But two, you're going to get more and more stressed out, more and more pissed off as you have more and more of these people to talk to. And what does that cause? It causes the dreaded burnout. So the first thing you need to do is right at the very beginning, no matter how good you are with a certain niche, you need to pick the person you're going to work with all the time carefully. It has to be somebody that energizes you. Yes, it has to be somebody you can get results for and that you can actually get out there and get paid from, but you need to also be energized, motivated, and ready to rock out with them every day. Because if you're like that, the extra work you're doing isn't going to feel like extra work. It's going to feel like growth. It's going to feel like serving somebody. It's going to feel like something you want to do more of. And in that case, you're able to get out there and kick ass. The second biggest proponent of burnout that I see, and this is especially prevalent in our teams, okay, is disorganization of your time. Now, the number one reason for this is because it takes 10 times as much effort to ramp down your brain and ramp it back up to a new task than it does to simply complete what you're working on. Okay, so I want to explain this a way that most people will stress themselves out, right? So, for instance, we have media buyers and we have setters and all this kind of shit that we have on side of our teams. And a lot of times they will say, I just don't have enough time in the day to do all the shit that you're asking me to do. And I will explain to them that I do 20 times as much shit and run 3 or 4 different companies. And this is how I do it, right? It's the same thing with a lot of people that come on in the GSD. They're like, well, how am I supposed to do fulfillment and this, that, the other thing? And then when we look at their day, it's just that they have working hours set and nothing else. And so what ends up happening is they'll start their day by looking at their phone, completely ruining the rest of their day. Because if you have enough clients and enough employees, the first thing that happens when you look at your phone is something's on fire and fuck you. So your day's ruined. You start off in a bad mood right away. You then put out whatever first fire that is. Then maybe you have a team meeting. Then all of a sudden you got an email from one of your clients. So you got to go work on that for a second. And in the middle of working on that, you got another email from a different client. Then you remembered, oh, I'm supposed to be working on that marketing campaign I was supposed to do. Then your salesperson comes over and says, hey, can we do this for this person? And you have to decide whether or not you're doing that for this person. Then all of a sudden it gets to the end of the day, you only got one actual thing done. You're remembering that there's 2 different projects you got to get done for tomorrow, and it's all giving you a migraine. It's all stressing you out. And you decide that means you're starting to burn out, right? Whose day seems like a disorganized mess like that? It's most of the agencies I talk to. And normally that's just because they don't have an organization of their time. Dana says mine too. Yeah, exactly. And what you're not realizing is how much effort it takes to get back up to peak productivity, to peak energy for every one of those 5 million little switches that you just did in that timeline. This is why if you constantly have your email open and you're reacting to every single email from a client that comes in, you're ramping down, you're looking at the email, you're ramping up for the new task, and you left the other task 25% done. When you go back to that task, you have to get it ramped back up. Now, depending on if you have ADHD or not ADHD, it's going to take even longer to get back into that focus place, right? But if you just organize your day, all of that stress that happens from the react drops. Because you have dedicated time, you have boundaries on what you're doing. And because of that, you know that everything you need to do will get done. A lot of the stress comes from, I don't know where my next client's going to come from. And so when I lose a client, I'm freaking out because you're not organizing your day. You need dedicated time blocks to prospecting so that no matter what happens, it won't be an issue because you have sales. If you have a dedicated time slot for fulfillment, you do that. If you look at emails in the morning once, and then once again, maybe at the very end of the day, you don't look at emails and react throughout the rest of the day, because guess what? Despite what you might think, not responding to that client email for 2 hours is not going to get them to fire you. They do not expect you to instantly respond and fix their problem right in that moment. You are allowed to have boundaries, and you are allowed to do the work in the spots where you can do the work so that your brain is dedicated to those specific sections of your time, which also leads me to the next point. One of the biggest things I want you guys to do to take away from this is I want you to time block, okay? Homework. Number 1, organize your day, time block, commit to it, okay? Second part here that I want to talk about, okay, is a really, really important one. Learn the power of saying no, especially when we're a younger agency. We only have a few clients. We can get really, really, really caught up in the trap of saying yes to every single thing that our clients want. Can you do this? Yes. Can you do that? Yes. Or can you build me this, that, the other thing? Even if it's way outside of the scope of work, even if it's not something that we're actually good or skilled at, it's always a yes from us because we think we're giving more value. We think that means that we won't get fired. But what's actually happening is because we're just doing it all, they slowly just think that's what they're paying for. They're not actually viewing it as more value. They just think that's what their money is being paid to do. And so you're getting stretched thinner and thinner, getting them worse and worse results because it's not enough financial resources or time resources to be able to do it. And so what ends up happening is your value goes down and you end up losing the client, and you're stressed out, burned out, and not getting paid enough for your time because you can't scale because you don't have enough time. And so you need to start learning the power of no. And the other part of this is clients are always going to have ideas. You saying no is sometimes in the best interest of them as well. Hey, I heard this beautiful thing called pay-per-click ads. Should we be running those too? No. The reason why we are doing Facebook only is because I know that the cost per lead is going to be cheaper and your budget can only sustain this type of a platform. If we stretch it out, it won't work. Saves you the time, tells them the truth because you might not even be good at that kind of advertising. You might only be good at Facebook, and you can tell them the reason why they're doing this in the first place. The power of no to that, the power of no to your team. If you have a team, you have a salesperson, you have a marketing person, their job is to come to you with ideas. But if you say yes to every single one of those ideas, you're going to find your time to be more and more and more constrained. And so you need to create an assembly line-like process for your life, for your agency, and for the way that you're doing all of this work. It's so that everything is simplified, but also so that as you're improving it, everything is going to be improving along with it all the time. Okay. So I want you to start, again, organizing your day. And number two, start saying no more often. Yeses often sound and feel better in the moment, but no's are going to get you a lot further in life. They're going to actually help you create a lot more space and time in your calendar. The other part of it is you can start using Rahul's favorite word. Rahul's favorite word with client conversations is, of course, we could do that. Can I make a recommendation to you? Instead of saying yes right away, as in it's within the scope of work we're already talking about, it's can I make a recommendation to you around that? Basically, that's prefacing, yes, we could do it, but it's going to cost you more. And I'm going to give you a new proposal for it since it's outside of the normal scope of work. It's going to be an additional X amount of dollars, and it's going to take an additional Y amount of work to make that happen. Cool. Next thing I want to talk about, something that I've personally worked on a lot, is having a recharge schedule. Okay. This is, again, not to get all hippy dippy on you guys or have all that, but I do believe in a lot of this shit for energy just because it's helped me a lot. It's having a process where, if you start to feel a little bit stressed out, and the way that I know that I feel stressed out, the way that I know that it's time to do these kinds of things is when I start to be reactive to things. So I normally am a very good problem solver. I'm good at keeping a level head and doing all this stuff. But every couple of months or so, I will notice myself with employees or my significant other or anybody saying something to me and me getting what I call snappy. All of a sudden, it's like, okay, I'm reacting now to things coming at me. And that's usually because I've got an overabundance of stress hormones. I've got an overabundance of stress in my head, and I need now to be able to think more clearly. I need to reset. I need to do a recharge. Okay. And then everybody's is going to be different. Okay. So this is something that I want you to think of. Before you even get into the recharge schedule on this, you need to know yourself. Okay. So what does that mean? Know yourself means, when is your energy optimal? Okay. That to me means, are you a morning person, afternoon person, night person? Do you need to nap? Whatever. Some people need naps. I don't nap personally, but I know some people love their nap. So if you need one, plug it in there, right? When is your energy optimal? When is your productivity optimal? Okay. If you dedicate your work, okay, dedicate to your work at a certain time of day, when will you get the most done? For me, I'm not a morning person, but in the beginning of what I call the morning for when I first start to work, I get a lot done. So I'll try to do like a team meeting and get some fulfillment or marketing campaign shit done. Then I do the coaching right after that. And then my later to-do tasks after that in the afternoon, just to close out the day on shit that I don't want to talk to people. I just want to kind of plug out some work at the end of the day and get it done kind of thing. Knowing that helps you work best. Okay. And then the actual schedule itself, stuff I do to recharge. So this is just me. Again, doesn't necessarily have to be you, but knowing my own schedule here, my own, where my energy is best, I do a few things. I do not look at my phone or answer my team at all until 9:30 a.m. in the morning. I get up way before this. I get up at like 7:30 a.m. to 8 a.m. I'm not one of those 5 a.m. assholes who tell you to do that shit. No, no, no. I'm not about that life. I know myself. I'm not a morning person. And that's what I'm trying to say right here is you got to know yourself to do this. Okay. I know myself. I don't like the mornings, but I get up at about 7:38, and then I do not, and this was one of the, I brought this up earlier. This was one of the worst things I used to do. And it might not be happening to you yet, but once you get past a certain size and you have a certain number of employees and past a handful of clients, almost every time you look at your phone, there's something to deal with from somebody. At this point, we're running like 3 companies, 2 different teams, vertically integrated, hundreds of different things in communities. So there's always somebody asking something. So if you want to keep your mental health, the way I did it was I told my team, first meeting I'm ever going to have is this time, and I'm not going to look at my phone in the morning. I don't even flip my phone over. My alarm goes off, I hit snooze, and I leave it alone, and I go up. In the morning, I meditate a little bit. Meditate, something that I picked up when I was younger, because I used to have a temper. So I used to learn how to meditate. I've been to Thailand, trained under some monks, all that weird shit, but it was really, really helpful. Helps me clear the brain. Something that I find really effective to get rid of stress hormones and to stop being reactive is to meditate. I do it every morning. I also have a roof patio. So I go up there and I'll do that meditation before 9:30 a.m. I also get IV vitamins once per month at least. And these are the bigger ones. You can get these I got it from a naturopath just to help my energy levels on that. And then I also go to a place in Whistler, because I live in Vancouver, and it's a spa that's like outside where they take your phone. So it's hot tubs and cold baths and freezing stuff all outside up in the mountains. They take your phone so that you don't have a choice. And I'll go there from 9 a.m. all the way till 9 p.m. at night when they close. I literally stay there all day because it's a whole day without phone distractions, anything else. And by the time I leave that, and I'll do some meditation there and that kind of stuff too. And by the time I leave that, I almost always have my best thoughts that I will ever have anywhere else. Like I've come out of there before and sent like a whole novel worth of shit to Rahul about all the different ways that I think we should change and update the business, because I'm like, okay, I can think clearly now. The difference between having a completely stressed out, as you guys would call it, burning out brain, and actually going through some of this stuff and clearing that all out is night and day. The amount of reaction and how much that cannot help compared to the amount of being proactive once your brain is clear is again night and day. And the biggest thing that I find is that almost none of the things that you're freaking out about when you're on edge like that, when you haven't managed your energy, when you haven't been proactive about your stress hormones and all that kind of stuff, you are going to make wrong decisions, but it's usually because you view everything as absolutely overblown. You're viewing it as, I got to fix this right now. If I don't, everything's going to explode. Oh my God, that client's going to fire me. If that client does fire me, I'm going to go broke. I'm going to live in a ditch. Did I buy the tent that I need to live in down the street with? Because I'm going to lose my house. Like everything is the worst possible scenario because you're so stressed out and you can only view it 10 centimeters in front of your face. If you have a clearer head, if you've gone through the process of actually de-stressing yourself and being able to create a proactive environment, that's when you can really troubleshoot and see the path more clearly, see that not everything is going to be the end of the world, and also be able to see a solution to kind of bring that to fruition. Awesome. So what does that leave us with then? So for number 3, right, we've got organize your day, time block it, and commit to it. Homework number 2, easy one, start saying no. I mean, it sounds easy, but you guys will see it's not so easy. Homework number 3, last one, most important one in my opinion, is create a recharge schedule. Okay. And I just want to briefly say one more time, what is the recharge schedule? First, it's taking a look at yourself. First, it's figuring out when is your energy optimal. Is it morning? Is it afternoon? Is it nighttime? When are you the most awake? Are you a 5 a.m. person or are you a working at midnight person? It's okay to be both, but you got to be true to yourself if you're going to actually optimize your own life. 2 is, when is your productivity norm? When do you get the most stuff done? Are you more clear in the morning? Are you more energized after lunch? Are you ready right around 10 a.m.? Doesn't matter. Nobody gets to judge you for it, but you need to know yourself so that you can focus your work where it needs to be focused without burning out. And then finally, and these are just the items again that I do, So these are not things you have to do, but I'm telling you how I took this information and created a process around for myself to make this better. Then you can create your recharge schedule. And again, mine is don't look at my phone until 9:30 a.m. Don't deal with that bullshit until I'm in my optimal working mind space, right? Meditate every morning because, again, it helps me get ready for work. It helps me be ready to deal with the bullshit that I'm going to have to deal with at 9:30 a.m. Then it's go get vitamin IVs once a month because it helps with my energy levels, get all that shit going. And then it's recharge in a place like Whistler. And I usually do that once every couple of months is usually what that is, or on an as needed basis. Awesome then, guys. Cool. I appreciate all of you. Bye, everybody. Enjoy your day. Bye, guys.
Thank you so much for spending the time to watch that amazing training. Like I mentioned previously, my intention is for you not just to watch that training, but if you got something out of it, if you think this information is useful, I want you to continue that journey with us. And you can do that in a couple of ways. One, I want you to smash that subscribe button so that you get notified every single time we put another one of these out, which will be at minimum once to twice per week. The other thing I want you to do is go ahead and click that next video right there beside you so that you can dive in and get shit done. Hope to see you out there.